it's Miss Paxton-Hill, and this is our first official flipped lesson on multiplication with negative numbers. So I want you to be able to multiply positive and negative numbers and be able to recognize and use the multiplication properties of 1, 0, and -1. Do you remember the op prop? Right, this is back from Unit 1. So you guys need to remember that the opposite of opposites property tells us for any given number, the opposite of that number is that number itself. Maybe an example will help clarify because that's a lot of times saying the word opposite. Okay, so -9 is the opposite of 9. We remember this, right? So the opposite of -9 has another negative, a -9. And the opposite of -9 is also the number 9. So what this tells us is that -9 is the same as the number 9. So it's starting to bring back some memories, ring any bells. This will be very helpful because it tells us that two negatives cancel out. So an even number of negatives means the number is actually what? It's positive because they cancel out. So 3 is the same as -3, two negatives, or -3, four negatives, and so on. We could also write this by putting in some parentheses between all the negatives to make it a little easier to see, easier to count all those negatives out and make sure there's an even number. Now, if an even number of negatives means the number is actually positive, then an odd number of negatives means the number is actually what? Negative, right? -4, 1, same as -4, 3, same as -4, 5, and so on. All right, you guys, you heard a little bit of background noise there. That was Max. Hopefully it'll be a little quieter now that he's been fed. All right, so moving on, we know that an even number of negatives means it will be positive, and an odd number means it will be negative. So now that we've reviewed the prop typo, let's take a moment to review what we know about multiplication. 7 times 8 equals what? All right, you guys, remember this is my favorite one. 7 times 8 equals 56. 5, 6, 7, 8. A positive times a positive equals a positive. This is something you guys have known for years. So what about -7 times 8? How many negative signs are there? There's a negative in front of the 7, but none in front of the 8. So there is one negative sign. So then we have to say, is that odd or even number of negative signs? And we know the number 1 is an odd number. So using what we know about the prop, the answer to -7 times 8, will it be positive or negative? Well, remember, there's one negative. It's an odd number of negatives, so it will be a negative answer because an odd number of negatives makes a negative answer. So -7 times 8 equals -56. All right, you guys, now let's try another one, but this time let's make it one with two negative numbers. So let's try -7 times -8. How many negative signs are there? 2. One in front of the 7, one in front of the 8. Is that an odd or even number of negative signs? Even, 2 is even. So using what we know about the prop, will the answer to -7 times -8 be positive or negative? It's going to be positive because an even number of negatives makes a positive answer. So we know that -7 times -8 equals positive 56. Not really sure what happened there. It was flipping around a little bit, So hopefully I can get it back on track. Let's see. I have some practice problems that we want to try to do. There we go. Let's practice. Okay. 5 times negative 4 equals negative 20. All right. 1 negative. 5 times negative 4. See that 1 negative there? So our answer will be negative because there's not a number of negatives. Negative 20. And puppies, because you guys asked for them. Or at least one person asked for them. And who doesn't like puppies? All right, let you look at those for a moment. And then on to another problem. Negative 7 times negative 3 equals positive 21. Those two negatives cancel out to make a positive 21 and more puppies. Maybe we'll follow each problem with puppies. Negative 12 times negative 12 equals positive 144. Aww. Oh, we should know this one. 6 times 4 equals 24. Some more. Aren't they cute? And negative 7 times 7, quick, equals negative 63. There we go. The last one for a little bit. So, last but not least, the multiplication properties of 1, 0, and negative 1. Multiplication property of 0. We know this. We talk about this all the time. Any number times 0 equals 0. 5 times 0, 0. 18 times 0, 0. The order doesn't matter. 0 times 74 equals 0. We can have variables. A times 0 also equals 0. But we have other multiplication properties, such as multiplication property of 1, where we know any number times 1 equals itself. 5 times 1 equals 5. 18 times 1 equals 18. Again, order doesn't matter. 1 times 74 equals 74. And again, variables don't matter. A times 1 equals A. So how many A's are there? There is 1A. Now we have the multiplication property of negative 1, which tells us that any number times negative 1 equals the opposite of itself. So not itself, but the opposite of itself. So 5 times negative 1 equals negative 5. Remember, negative 5 is the opposite of 5. 18 times negative 1 equals negative 18. Negative 18 being the opposite of 18. Again, order doesn't matter. Negative 1 times positive 74 equals negative 74. And A times negative 1 equals negative A. But if we look over here and we start with a negative 5 and we multiply it times negative 1, what it's going to do is we're going to end up with a positive 5, which is a number that's opposite from the negative number we started with. You need to pause it here and really take a moment to really look at this. That's fine, but the big thing to take away is when we multiply times negative 1, we're going to end up with an answer that is the opposite of the number that we started with. Okay? So, same for variables, same for things in a different order. So, start out with a negative A, multiply it times negative 1, you would get a positive A. So what I would like you to do is complete the notes about multiplication on page 20 of your packet. I'm actually going to check this for a homework grade. So just that top part of the packet, just the notes. You can do it from memory. You can go back in this video to check it out. But just really take some time to make sure you understand what's going on. And then in class, let me know how you liked the video. Let me know if the sound was okay, if it was too loud, if we need more stuff, less stuff, what you would like to see in a video. Try to make future videos a little different, maybe a little shorter, a little more engaging. We'll see. But wait a few more seconds because you have to see the last slide. All right, just a few more seconds. Almost there. And there it is. Because how cute is that? It's a hot dog. How could you not want to wait a few more seconds to see that? All right, you guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.